started when I woke up, when well, that was when the beginning of it, but without knowing it, I didn't know what it was, and I didn't think about it. It just seemed to disappear. And then there was a spider on my hand. I went to flick it off. When I went to flick it off, it just disappeared. It wasn't there. But they're not frightening. Any of this wasn't frightening. It was just there, and then it disappeared. And then there was a tiger running towards me. It was running towards me. And I just stood there and wasn't concerned. As I say, they weren't frightening at all. In fact, I thought they were rather amusing until I got a bit sick of it. It wasn't big, but it wasn't small. Just, I don't know. In fact, it looked quite happy. Couldn't describe the surroundings. And this tiger just running towards us. And I just stood and looked at it. It just disappeared. They say if you turn your head, it's gone, whatever it is. But you're not conscious. You're not saying to yourself, if I turn my head around, it'll disappear. You just, something natural, you just sort of turn it. I woke up one day, it seems to be when I wake up, and the bare wall, and it was coloured with cream roses all over the wall. And I said, oh, isn't that beautiful? What a lovely wallpaper. And it was gone. I had a dress hanging on the outside of the wardrobe, and Dot was looking at it. And I said, what are you looking at? I said, you've seen it before, I have worn it before. And Dot disappeared. The tall boy is flush with the wall, and I could see 3 ladies with blonde hair standing behind. And I said, is this a party or can anyone join? And they disappeared. I talked to them. It seems to be when I wake up, strangely enough, I didn't realise that. But parties going on in the room, and the television blaring away. And I think to myself, I switch the television off, but somebody might be listening to it. Somebody in the room might be listening to it. And then it went on so much that I thought, oh, pot them, switch the television off. I've held the wall up with my hand. The bedroom wall was falling in, and I just put my hand up and pushed it back. But you see patterns, you hear singing, and the same song, don't laugh at me, I'm a fool, and then wonderful you are, and hymns and that, and I think the patterns are just squares now at the minute, and the trees are covered in red bulbs like a Christmas tree, but all the bulbs are red. And I can see this plant all over the place. I woke up, I was in the afternoon, I was resting, and I woke up and I saw this little boy standing on the fireplace, 2 hands like that, as though he had something in his hands. And what made it all right was the fact it was a little boy with short trousers on, and I can remember my kids going to school with their short trousers on, which they don't do nowadays. The boy was wearing short trousers. That fascinated me, the short trousers. So I must have realised that it was from a different generation. And this old lady who lived beside us, she said, I'd love to see your 2 little boys going out dressed to school of a morning with their nice clean knees and their short trousers. And so it reminded me of that. He was there standing, and I kept asking him what he wants. What do you want? What do you want me to do? And he just stood there, and his mouth was working, but I couldn't hear. There was never any sound from these things. I mean, all the others that were speaking, I still couldn't, there wasn't any noise, there wasn't any sounds. When I was in Lourdes, I was a doctor in Lourdes, and I was sitting chatting to him, and I said to him, have you heard of this Charles Bonnet? He said, oh yeah. I said, you have? He said, yeah. He says, I've got a patient. He said, this little old lady lives in this cottage. He says, the cottage is hardly big enough for her, but she's coaching horses flying around her ceiling. So I think the more it's known, the better it'll be. One of those books, it said that you've no self-worth and you feel suicidal. And it with a paragraph, which I could have written that paragraph myself. I feel better since I've talked about it, since those Dennis and that chap, Charlie, I think his name was, they rang up and they talked to me. And I felt much better after that because it was sort of admitting that there's something there that nobody would admit to before. So I feel much better knowing about it and knowing that people are trying to do something about it. You know, that people are recognising it now, seeing it's going on for years, but now they're starting to take notice of it. Now I feel a lot better about that. Charles Bonnet Syndrome.
Don't laugh at me, 'cause I'm a fool. I know it's true, yes, I'm a fool. No one seems to care. I'd give the world to share my life with someone